Relapse, they say, is part of addiction. I wouldn't classify myself as an addict. However, I have been. And the substance that I was addicted to was nicotine. It's the only substance that I would truly say that I have been addicted to. And recently, with what went on in Thailand, I found myself medicating with nicotine, with cigarettes, self-medicating. I smoked a cigarette while I was having this cannabis-induced psychosis episode in Thailand, in Bangkok. I suppose quite unconsciously I was kind of like, okay, let's smoke this cigarette. I don't know, it just came to me. Cigarettes don't normally come to me. And I sat with it and I decided I was going to smoke it consciously. I was going to connect with the spirit of the tobacco plant. And accepted that I could just smoke a cigarette and it'd be okay. So I did. And since I've been back in the UK, I found cigarettes have been finding me more and more. I've been finding them more and more. And slowly, it becomes an addictive cycle. It becomes a way to alleviate the short-term suffering that is going on inside. It alleviates the discomfort. It gets rid of all of the negative feelings in the very short term. It's an instant gratification. It's basically been an easy option for everything that's been going on inside my body, inside my mind, since having this recent episode. So, welcome back to the Bipolar Yogi podcast. I'm really appreciative of every one of you that are listening every week. It really inspires me, keeps me pushing forward. I got to a position where I was very ahead of recording podcasts. I was like, okay, it's good. I can get a few episodes out and, give me some time. But now the circumstances are that I've been late with podcasts and late with recording, and now it's only Saturday and I plan to release this tomorrow. And I keep putting things off, and things are becoming very difficult at this period of my life, this very moment in time, to structure my life properly. It's very unstructured. I've just come back into a old environment, my hometown, my home village, where the patterns of behavior that I used to exhibit in this area, in this environment, are very different to the patterns of behavior that I have been exhibiting and that I want to exhibit throughout my life. And smoking is one of those behaviors, one of those patterns. Drinking is another one. Drinking is a behavior that, again, I've never had a bad relationship with alcohol, not an addictive relationship. It's never been a problem, I would say, but it's also never been a solution. So I don't like to say I will never do something, I would never take a substance again, because it's very limiting. How do I know that? I can't foresee the future. I can't be in full control somehow, but maybe that's a limiting belief that I have. And alcohol, it's almost been 2 years, almost 2 years since I drank alcohol. I think 2 years next month. And there's some part of me that since being back, these desires have crept in. The desire to drink alcohol, the desire to smoke cigarettes. I haven't drank alcohol, and it wouldn't be a problem if I did. I'm unsure why these desires are creeping back in, although I'm quite aware that it may be due to the environment, and also due to the mindset of having been in hospital for a period of time, being medicated on pharmaceutical drugs, then coming off these pharmaceutical drugs. I was only medicated for maybe a week, maybe less, and yet it's caused discomfort inside. My body knows that I've had my brain chemistry changed my internal chemistry, my internal system has been altered by external means. Unconsciously, just been given the drugs, taken the drugs, and then come off the drugs. And so there's a part of me where these desires are creeping in for this short-term satisfaction, this ease of the dis-ease. And therefore, I may or may not have a disease, which is called addiction. And that's just what addiction is. Addiction is a dis-ease of the mind, dis-ease of the body. And for that dis-ease, there is usually a substance, a behavior, a pattern that eases the dis-ease. And so for me at the moment, it's cigarettes. And today I bought my first pack of cigarettes in a long time, which cost a bloody bomb in the UK. And that was the step that showed me that I am fully in the addiction cycle. At first it was smoking a cigarette in Thailand, then I had a cigarette when I was back in the UK just because I had the desire for it. And I thought I'll just smoke this consciously, connect with it. And then a few days went by and I didn't desire a cigarette, but then some circumstance creeps up, a situation, an environment that causes the desire to creep into the mind again. And I smoke a cigarette again. And slowly, the behavior becomes more unconscious, the desire creeps in more, and it leads to a behavior like spending £18, that's nearly 2,000 rupees, for anybody listening in India. And that's a lot of money to spend on 20 cigarettes. And now I'm smoking the cigarettes and I'm smoking them more and more unconsciously. However, I'm aware. And in that respect, maybe I am conscious of these behaviors. And so I feel to break out of this addiction, I need a desire to counteract. I need a desire of freedom, to be stronger. I need the desire to not smoke, to be stronger than the desire to smoke. And so that's something that I'm working on. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with it. I'm not going to force myself. The time will come when I will stop walking with the plant. And in that way, if I use it as a medicine, if I frame it as a medicine in my mind that I need to walk with for a certain amount of time, just like an antibiotic, you must take the full dose. The full, what is it they call it? You must take all of the prescription. Sometimes I can't think of the words, but I think you know what I mean. I hope so anyway. So I'm going to take the full prescription, and at a point in the future, I will wake up and I will be free from the desire to smoke, as the desire not to smoke grows in my mind. And it's just like in yoga, they say your greatest desire should be that of freedom, of moksha, of liberation. If you don't have a desire to be liberated, then how can you truly become liberated? If you do not desire something, you will not achieve it. So that's where I've been at recently with understanding my desires, understanding the drivers of my behaviors, and just cultivating an awareness. So anyway, enough about that. Let's jump back into the past. Let's get this podcast back to where it was and start telling the story and get us back up to speed, because we've still got a long journey to get up to today. So recently I've been speaking about the male role models in my life growing up. My dad, then my uncle coming along. And I've mentioned previously my stepdad, another male figure, role model, that's been in my life. And I've mentioned that in my younger years, we didn't have the best relationship. He was abusive, physically, verbally. And I wrote down tons of stories that I could tell you about these individual cases of verbal and physical abuse. But I thought, what's the purpose of diving into those and painting such a negative picture of a man that I now have so much compassion for, so much love for? Because despite at a young age being beaten and bruised, this man has been a part of my life since I was 8 years old. This man, my mother has married. She is so in love with him. And I see in his eyes that he loves her too. I feel it. I feel the energy between them. I understand that he needs her motherly care that a wife provides. And it was since I was about 18 years old. One day I came home. It was a pretty ordinary day, I think, as much as I can remember. My girlfriend would usually stay over, and this particular night she didn't, which was very lucky for her, very fortunate. So I went home, went into my room, and got into bed. Now, it was about 11 o'clock at night, and suddenly I'm woken up. There's a massive knock on the door. Bang, bang, bang! It's the police. They knock the door down and they raid the house. They run in, somebody comes into my room, rips the covers off me, is shouting at me, and next thing I know I'm in handcuffs, stood in my underwear, in my own house, not knowing what on earth is going on. The police are looking around, they're searching the house. My mum and my stepdad, my younger brothers, all in the house. And I remember hearing them, they'd been searching for ages, and then they ask, where are the keys to the shed? And my mum and my stepdad are conflicting with each other. One said, you've got them, the other said, you've got them. Where are they? Nobody knows. Finally, the police find the keys. They go into the shed, and just by their luck, and to our surprise, they find copious amounts of pills, cannabis, hash, and a safe that had £25,000 in cash. They had an absolute field day. And that night, my stepdad got taken in to a cell, must have been questioned, all sorts. Now, I didn't know much of this was going on. I didn't know that he was super involved. I had an idea that he was involved in drugs, and it was completely unrelated to my involvement in drugs. Obviously, a few years prior, I had been arrested and almost went to prison. And so this was a big bust for the police. I believe it was a neighbour that had phoned the police because my stepdad had an argument with them. And so somebody had basically gone to the police and said, this man is selling drugs from his house. You should go and raid him. So it was very unfortunate in that respect. And this wouldn't have been an issue for me if I hadn't received a letter a few weeks later telling me that I needed to appear in court because I was being charged with possession with intent to supply all of these drugs. Myself, my mum and my stepdad were all being charged jointly because we were the 3 adults that were in the house at the time. I couldn't believe it. I was stressed. It's the thing of movies to be accused of a crime that you haven't done, to go to court for a crime that you haven't done. You don't expect these things to happen in real life. However, it did, and I was in my A-levels at school, and lo and behold, I've got another court case on my hands. This time I'm shitting myself because at the end of the day I had nothing to do with it. So the police are taking us to court, and soon enough the court case came. We had to appear in the magistrate's court. We went along, me, my mum, and my stepdad. And we stood up, and it was just a plea. You just go along to court the first time, they say what's happened, and you plead guilty or not guilty. My stepdad stood up, and he pleaded guilty. My mum stood up, she pleaded not guilty. And I had to stand up in court in front of the magistrates for the second time, however this time pleading not guilty for a crime that I had not done. It was terrifying. Then the court was adjourned, or something, I think that's the right word. And they told us that the court was going to go to the Crown Court because the magistrates was too small a court to deal with such a big case. This case had such a big sentence that they could not deal with it in the magistrates, had to go to Crown Court. So that was the next court date. We received another court date, and we had to prepare to go to the Crown Court, where it would be put in front of a jury. And they would decide my fate. They would decide this time whether or not I would go to prison. It was up to a jury. So people would have to be persuaded, rather than just the magistrates. There were normal, everyday people who were going to be persuaded as to whether or not I had committed this crime. Again, stressful. Not something that a fresh 18-year-old who is just trying to navigate this world, just looking at going to university, just trying to get his A-levels done, not something that I wanted looming over me. Now, it was a few days before the court case, and we received a letter. And my mum and I felt so lucky because we had been dismissed from the case. All of that stress for nothing, as the judge of the case had to read through the case before the court, before the date. And they had decided, why on earth are we being charged? Why are we being taken to court? It's clearly the stepdad. It's not his mum, it's not him. So they left it. They left it there, and they took my stepdad to court. And so he went to court, and I think he got a 3-year sentence. So this was, for me at the time, I felt like it was a blessing. A man who I wasn't getting on with very well was now taken out of my life, and I felt like that was a blessing. However, the family affected them very differently. My younger brothers, one of them was 9, one of them was 6, responding very differently at those ages. I think my youngest brother, it affected him the most. They would go up and visit my stepdad in prison. And my mum, of course, was utterly heartbroken. I could feel that from her. But she just wanted to stick by him. She waited patiently while he was in prison. I think he did about 1.5 years in total, got out on good behaviour. But there was something about that man that had changed when he came out of prison, and ever since then our relationship has been different. We get on much better. It's as if he matured, and I don't know what it was in me that changed, but I kind of forgave him. I'd forgiven him for everything that he'd done during my childhood. It really felt like he came out a fresh, different man. Previously he had problems with drugs. He was very much addicted to cocaine, I think, at one point. Had a big issue with it. I would hear my mum arguing with him about it. She's always trying to help. The same thing happened with my dad with the heroin. She just tried to help. She just wanted to help. But that addiction had too much of a hold on him. And with my stepdad, it was cocaine. And he would become aggressive and violent. It was usually mixed with alcohol. And so that seemed to be how our relationship changed. The circumstances were not great. However, it was necessary for the evolution of our relationship. Now, me at that point, I don't really remember what I did around the age of 18. What I did for my birthday, I don't remember my 18th birthday, but what I do remember is lots of partying, lots of drugs, lots of unconscious behaviors. Went on my first holiday at that age to Tenerife. Took my girlfriend there. It was lovely. We had a great time. But still, I used to drink. I used to spend money unconsciously. I used to smoke a lot. And I really didn't take care of my health. Now I wonder if this is related to the male role models that I had in my life, whether I can blame them or what the reason was. But it's interesting, like I feel like my energy right now is just not what it usually is. I feel dull. I feel different. I can hear myself. I sound different. And I don't know what it is, but I know I can change it. I know that the energy can be changed. So I feel as though that was all I wanted to talk about on this episode, was my stepdad. And the thing is, I wanted to go so deep into all of these stories about hurt and suffering and the stories of the trauma that had been inflicted on me as a child, but I just felt as though it was pointless to paint a picture of a man who I have so much compassion for. So he's a twin, my stepdad, and him and his twin sister were adopted when they were very young. I don't know how old, but they were adopted by a white couple. And so his adopted parents, were both white, and him and his sister were black. They, I think, are from Jamaican roots, quite possibly. I'm not 100% sure. I'm a little bit ignorant to his heritage. However, I do know that he was adopted. And I also know that he had a lot of issues growing up with racism, with people calling him names at school. And I don't think this helped. He was part of a very big family. His adopted parents adopted lots of children. So he was a part of a big family. A very musical family, however, so he's always had his musical side. He's always had his creativity, which he got from his adopted parents. So he grew up in a creative musical family with a number of brothers and sisters. Him and his twin sister were both black, and they had one other black sibling, and the rest were all white. So if you can imagine growing up, being born in the 60s, growing up in the 70s and the 80s, and being a black child in a family of white people, going to a school, the racism, from what I understand, was unmanageable and hurtful. So a man who from a very young age was made to feel different, excluded, he then had to turn to other means of easing this dis-ease that would have been caused inside him. This disease of racism, which the racism came from outside. However, it would have caused so much disease inside his mind, which would have caused disease inside his body, which may or may not have manifested again as the addiction. The addictions that he then had. He's also a smoker, cocaine user, drinker. Some points of his life this was heavier than others. However, now I see a man who looks after himself. Him and my mum stopped smoking over a year ago. For him, more difficult. For her, easier. So he grew up with racism. He turned to drugs. I believe he started dealing drugs at a young age. And I think in the 90s, from what I understand, he was also in prison for selling cocaine. So he'd already done his time, but at a younger age, and obviously that hadn't quite matured him. He still looked to use drugs and to sell them as a means of generating income, because the jobs that he's done never generated a huge income. So that's where I have compassion for him, because I know that everybody has their own story. Everybody's got their own upbringing. Everyone has been hurt in some way or another. Everybody has had some form of dis-ease generated inside them from the external world, whether that's through racism, whether that's through trauma. It doesn't matter what it is, but we must see that the external world is causing disease inside us. And so we must practice. We must practice easing ourselves, easing the tension, letting go of the past, and just being present. Now, this is something that I'm struggling with right now. I'm struggling to stay present. I just want to go from moment to moment, just to the next moment. The times when I'm finding it easy is when I'm working, finding it difficult to be meditative outside of that. I don't have my own space back home. At the moment, I own a van which I'm planning to convert when I get back from traveling, but it's currently at a lockup, so I can't live in it at the moment. That's my only space. So I'm living with my friend. He's got a girlfriend, so often he doesn't want me there. I'm then staying at my mum's house with my brother, which is great because I'm really connected with my younger brother. And it's just leading me to feel alone, feel excluded, which is odd because I love being alone. However, being alone without a space of your own is homelessness. And that feels a little bit different to aloneness. Homelessness is, especially in the winter, it's not particularly nice. I'm feeling as though, like tonight for example, I just went into the local town and I sat on a bench and I just sat with a tree. I smoked a cigarette and sat in meditation with the tree, observed how the nicotine felt, how it encompassed my body, felt tingling sensations. And I must have sat in meditation with this tree for around about an hour. People walking by, I had my eyes open. It was a eye-gazing meditation where I just gaze at the tree, just sat on a bench. Lots of people walking past. So many people are busy. It's Valentine's Day as well. Everybody's got somebody. Nobody's available. And there's me, sat in the center of town, staring at a tree. And then after some time, I got up. I decided I was going to go for some food. I bumped into my auntie, which I thought was very odd, very interesting. And there's something funny and familiar about people's eyes at the moment. I feel as though I'm seeing people on a much deeper level at the moment. I'm looking way past the physical characteristics of people, and they say that the eyes are the window to the soul. Sometimes I look into people's eyes and I feel their souls. And some eyes are so familiar that they just feel like family. Now, I have a very big family, so it's not uncommon for me to bump into family. But I just feel the same presence when I look into some people's eyes. I'm not sure what that is. Whether it's psychosis, whether it's my mind playing tricks on me. Or is it that we are all interconnected? Sometimes I look into people's eyes, I see the divine masculine family, the divine masculinity that comes from my father's side of the family, that comes from having a father. And then I look into people's eyes, I see my mother's family. And I look into some people's eyes, and I see something different, something else. Something unfamiliar, yet something known. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, last night was an interesting one as well. And I think this is showing me something about my ego and how I come home to my hometown. I expect everybody to want me. Where have you been? They want to ask me questions, and I want to speak to everyone and tell everyone where I've been and what I've been doing. I've been home a week now, and I ended up bumping into a friend yesterday. One of my friends, we've been friends for a long time. Our names sound familiar, sound similar. And I met up with him, and he'd got a new house, and I hadn't seen his house yet, so he invited me around to his, and I said, can I bring my guitar in and play some music? And I've been writing some songs since I've been travelling. And I feel like I'm obviously not a great singer and not a great songwriter. However, I have sang and have written songs. And so I got to play him some of my songs, and he was really blown away, which I don't know if it just boosted my ego, but it made me feel really good that he really enjoyed my music, and he was really blown away by the fact that I had created something by myself. And I think I am as well, a little bit. It is the whole idea of you can do whatever you want in this life. The only person that's stopping you is you. And ever since I was young, I'd always wanted to play the guitar. I never practiced. But the past year, I've been practicing. Now I can strum a few chords together. I can play some songs. And I can sing to a melody. So I created some songs, played them to my friend, then his girlfriend came back and I played them to her, and they both really enjoyed them. And I feel as though my ego was inflating, because I was like, amazing, you know, I can really play music to people and they enjoy it, and that's really cool. That's like something that I've always dreamt about doing since I was a kid. And they're telling me like you should create a YouTube or like put your music online, and I'm like, but I don't sound good on a microphone. I hate the sound of my voice, even listening to the podcast. Can't stand the sound of my own voice at the moment. Not when it comes through the speakers anyway. I don't mind it when I'm sat in a room with myself or thinking in my head. But it's just listening to myself through speakers. There's something about it at the moment that just does my head in. And yet, I love it when people tell me that they enjoy my music, they enjoy my singing, whatever it is. And anyway, that evening, yesterday evening, I ended up staying at my friend's, and then lots of my mum turned up, my brothers turned up, very peculiar, and some of them had some weed, and I ended up smoking some weed last night, despite having a cannabis-induced psychosis last week. And I think part of the thinking behind that was, again, trying to show this illusion of control, like as if I have control over my behaviors, as if I have control over the substances, as if I have control over the psychosis, the bipolar. Trying to show people that's all I'm ever trying to do is show, look at my ego, look at me, I can do whatever I want, and I'm never going to go mental. And even if I do go mental, I always come back down to earth, so look at me, like, look what I can do. That's the part of my ego that has grown at the moment. And having this desire to be that person, to be the person, the one that has these crazy experiences, these crazy episodes, and comes back from it. And so I'm trying to let go of these desires and get back to the desire of liberation, get back to the desire of moksha. Because I feel like I am losing track. On my journey, I'm clearly in the right place, I'm clearly doing the right thing, everything is happening in alignment, because I get signs all the time from the universe that things are going right. However, part of that going right is failure. Part of that is being knocked down. Part of that is doing the wrong thing. So at the moment, I'm in this episode of failure, this episode of not doing the right thing, despite being on the right track. And it is that whole, like, what is right or wrong? What is it? It's just the mind. It's mind-made conditioning. We are just conditioned to think this is good, this is bad, that is right, that is wrong. But none of it is really. None of it really matters. Only I know what's good for me, in quotation marks, what's bad for me, in quotation marks. Only I know truly what I need to do to be on the right track, to be on the right path, where I need to go. And right now, I feel discontent, I feel disconnected, and yet I feel like everything that has happened, that is going to happen, is amazing and for the right reason. So it's an interesting place to be right now. Inside my mind, my experience of reality at the moment is warped by the plant medicines that I'm walking with. And I say the plant medicines that I'm walking with, and you might just think of that as a way to excuse these behaviors, excuse the drug taking. But I was speaking to my auntie today. She said, "You're not one that can take drugs." I said, "I know. Drugs are not for me. However, medicine, that's different. If I walk with drugs, I walk into psychosis. If I walk with medicine, I have my hand held, I get bandaged up, and I learn something new." So I suppose that's my message today. 1, have compassion for everyone. No matter what they have done to you, what they will do to you, whatever it is, forgive them, for they do not know what they have done. It's a quote from Jesus Christ. My favourite quote from the man. I'm not a Christian, but I see Jesus as a great teacher, a great spiritual leader. Number 2, if in addiction, observe, reflect, and understand the desire that is continuing your cycle, and try to counteract that desire. If it's a desire to smoke, counteract it with the desire to be free from smoking, the desire for liberation from smoking. And final key takeaway is this: don't worry, because we are all here for a reason. However, nobody knows what that is. Nobody really knows what's going on. the illusion of the world, the illusion of control, the illusion of understanding is a massive joke. So don't worry if you're feeling like you don't know why you're here, what's going on, because sometimes I feel like that. Sit in the center of town, meditating, looking at a tree. Everybody's rushing around, there's couples everywhere, it's Valentine's Day. What on earth is going on? What are we doing here? What on earth is the point in all of this? It just, what, is nobody else thinking that? Is nobody else questioning that? And I think that they are, and the trouble is that there's people that are coming along and saying, I know what's going on, I know why we're here, I know how to fix everything. And this is what I often tell people is the problem with the health industry at the moment. It's the big sale of, I know something that you don't know. Which is right, I know something that lots of people don't know, and that's my experience. I'm trying to share that with people. But I don't know what your experience is. I don't know what goes on inside anybody else's mind other than my own. And that's all I can share with you to try and help you navigate the universe that you are flying around in your vessel. So that's it from me today. Thank you, with love, with peace, with gratitude. This is the Bipolar Yogi. Over and out. I'll see you next week.